Y'all, buckle up because the rap game just took a wild left turn nobody saw coming. In a jaw-dropping twist that's got the whole industry talking. Roddy Ricch, yes. Roddy Feed Thaw Streets Ricch has come out, swinging and made a bold declaration that's got fans picking sides faster than a versus battle gone rogue. According to inside sources, Roddy didn't just throw shade. He dropped a whole eclipse on Drake's latest album, publicly stating that Kendrick Lamar's upcoming project is non-negotiable top tier and can't be touched by anything. Drake just dropped. Period. Now hold on. That's not even the craziest part. Word on the street is, this ain't just about music, this is personal. We're talking backstage blowups, group chat leaks, and a secret meeting that allegedly happened in the hills between Roddy and some TDE alumni. Sources say voices were raised, threats were made, and let's just say, OVO is not happy. Fans are shook. The internet is on fire. And now, whispers are turning into roars. Is Roddy Ricch declaring war on Drake? Or is this all part of a bigger plan with Kendrick at the center? Stick around because the tea is piping. And we're just getting started. It all started with a cryptic Instagram story that lasted barely 10 minutes, but long enough for the blogs to catch it. Roddy Ricch posted a black screen with just 6 words. We know who really rap FR. No tags. No explanation. No emojis. Just raw tension hanging in the digital air. Fans were confused, then curious, then chaotic. Within minutes, Twitter threads were unraveling like wildfires. Who was he talking about? Was it a jab? Was it shade? And more importantly, was it directed at Drake? But here's where it got real messy 30 hours later. A fan page reposted that story with the caption, "Drake just dropped a vibe." But Roddy clearly ain't feeling it. And instead of ignoring the chatter, Roddy commented with a no infamous response, "We celebrating real penmanship over here. Kendrick finished show, y'all." Boom. Internet meltdown. Fans couldn't believe the boldness. He named names. And not just any name, Kendrick Lamar, the man whose silence has been louder than most albums dropped this year. And the man who, as of last week, was rumored to be finishing up a secret project now. It's important to understand Roddy and Drake weren't exactly best friends, but there was mutual respect. They'd shared space on the same festival lineups, exchanged industry compliments in interviews, even talked about working together once upon a time. But according to sources close to Roddy, that mutual respect had been crumbling quietly for months. Apparently, ever since Roddy's features were passed over for Drake's last project, there had been tension brewing behind the scenes. And get this, producer affiliated with both artists allegedly told a mutual friend that Roddy was pushed out the picture at the last second to make room for another big-name collab on Drake's album. That move, it didn't sit right with Roddy. He felt slighted, discarded, and according to people in his circle. That's when the respect started turning into resentment. Now enter Kendrick. The timing couldn't have been more poetic. While the world had been waiting on Drake to drop, whispers of Kendrick quietly crafting a deeply personal, lyrically surgical album started surfacing in the shadows. Folks close to Top Dog Entertainment claimed the album was nearly done, and it wasn't just music, it was a message. Something calculated. Something aimed at Roddy. He was one of the few industry folks who'd allegedly heard some unreleased snippets during a private listening in the hills. Sources say he left that session transformed. One of the engineers reportedly overheard Roddy say, "This is what the culture needs. This the real." And from that point on, he was locked in. Loyal to the pen. Loyal to the message. Loyal to Kendrick. But here's where things took a nasty turn. A few days after Roddy's comment on that fan page, an insider from OVO's camp leaked a voice note. In it, someone allegedly from Roddy's team was heard saying, "Drake's album was made for TikTok. Kendrick's is made for generations." That quote went viral in less than an hour. The OVO camp was livid. Drake, who'd been surprisingly quiet, unfollowed Roddy on Instagram and removed a playlist that had previously featured 2 of Roddy's songs. Petty? Maybe. intentional. Absolutely. The industry started buzzing. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Fans were split down the middle. On one side, you had the Drake defenders, saying Drake consistently delivers hits, dominates charts, and doesn't need validation from artists who aren't charting anymore. On the other side, you had the Kendrick truthers, praising Roddy for standing on lyrical integrity and not chasing algorithms. Then came the podcast leaks. One of Roddy's old interviews from last year resurfaced where he said, "I make music that lives past the moment. I don't just make what's hot, I make what's real." Back then, nobody thought much of it. Now, with everything going on, it was suddenly seen as a subtle shot at Drake's strategy chasing trends, leaning into viral sounds, prioritizing numbers over narrative. But y'all, it gets even deeper. Because in the middle of this storm, another voice emerged. Isaiah Rashad, Teed's very own, popped into a Twitter space late one night and dropped a bombshell. He said, without naming names, "Some of these boys mad because they weren't invited to greatness. If you heard what we cookin', you'd pick sides too." Everybody knew who he was talking about. And with that, the divide became more than just personal. It was now political. Roddy's loyalty wasn't just about music anymore. It was about standing for something. He started wearing a hoodie that read "Real Rap Returns" during public appearances. At his latest show in Atlanta, he paused mid-performance and said, "I ain't scared of no algorithm. We bringing feeling back." The crowd went wild. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #TeamKendrick and #RealRapOverReels started trending. For the first time in years, the culture was feeling a real divide. Not between coasts or styles, but between meaning and marketing. But as Roddy was rising as the unexpected frontliner for real rap, not everyone in his circle was supportive. Multiple sources confirmed that a longtime friend and collaborator, someone who'd worked with both Drake and Roddy, reached out privately and urged him to chill out before this becomes irreversible. Apparently, that call didn't go well. Roddy allegedly told them, "This not about beef. This about balance. If they take it personal, that's on them." And just like that, the tension crossed over into something bigger than music. It became a cultural statement. Artists began taking sides. Quietly, some unfollowed Roddy. Others reposted his hoodie. Quote, even J. Cole, usually neutral, liked a tweet that said, "We've been missing the depth in this game. Maybe it's finally coming back." That small gesture. Yeah, fans dissected it for days. Was Cole low-key picking a side? Or just speaking truth? But then came the biggest twist of, and it happened during a charity basketball game in Los Angeles. It was supposed to be a peaceful community event. Just good vibes. Celebrities hoopin', no drama. But when Roddy showed up in a custom jersey with Section 80 stitched on the back, it was clear he wasn't letting the heat die down. Not even a little. And guess who showed up late to that same event? Noah 40 Shabib, Drake's longtime producer. Now, whether it was coincidence or not, witnesses say the air got thick real quick. Roddy reportedly ignored 40's handshake. Tension? Understatement. After that, 40 was spotted talking to someone on the sideline and shaking his head. Life readers online swear he said, "This kid really want to play that game." And that's where y'all with the industry watching this unfold. Now, this is where the narrative started to get murky. Up until this point, Roddy looked like a warrior for lyrical integrity. But now, whispers of rejection, bruised ego, and behind-the-scenes jealousy started bubbling to the surface. Rumors swirled that Roddy had submitted a verse for one of Kendrick's tracks, a dark, gritty West Coast anthem tentatively titled Legacy Shift, but it was allegedly cut in the final mix. If that's true, then everything changes. Because that would mean Roddy wasn't just supporting Kendrick out of artistic passion. He was making a play. And he might have been shut down, but wait, there's more. 2 days after the live, Drake posted something that sent shockwaves through the culture. It was a simple Instagram reel. Him riding through Toronto at night, listening to his own track, no caption. But fans recognized the background beat. It was an unreleased Kendrick leak that had been floating around Reddit. How did Drake get that beat? And more importantly, why was he playing it? Immediately, the speculation machine went into overdrive. Was Drake trolling Kendrick? Was he planning a diss? Did he get his hands on a stolen snippet? Within hours, a verified Teed engineer tweeted and deleted, "Some folks playing with fire." And fire spreads. The internet exploded. Again, as all this was unraveling online, Roddy stayed mostly quiet. No interviews, no tweets. Just 2 cryptic Instagram posts. The first, a photo of a notebook, lyrics blurred out except for one line. "Kings don't beg for thrones." The second post, a muted video of him in the studio, nodding his head to a beat with a stern look on his face. Fans knew what that meant. He was plotting something. And then, like clockwork, the dominoes started falling in real life. Roddy's longtime manager was reportedly dropped from a joint business venture with someone in Drake's circle. A few fashion brands quietly pulled their pending campaigns. A producer who had worked on Roddy's last album unfollowed him. It was like watching an invisible blacklist start to form, slowly and silently. But while the industry was starting to ice Roddy out, the streets were rallying behind him. Fans, young rappers, underground lyricists, they started treating Roddy like a martyr, like the one brave enough to speak out against the machine. In Oakland, someone even spray-painted Roddy was right on a billboard promoting Drake's album. The photo went viral. Kendrick's fans, who had been waiting silently for their messiah to return, started treating Roddy like a prophet. And then it happened, the leak. Late one night. An unreleased track began circulating on SoundCloud under a fake name. It was titled Depth Charges and listed a producer alias that was later linked back to Teed. But that wasn't the headline. The headline was the voice on the second verse. Roddy Ricch. He sounded hungry, angry. Surgical lines like, "Chart topper, but hollow inside. You a glass king," fake smiles in the booth. All that auto-tune can't mask things, and y'all threw me out the circle. Now I draw my own ring. I ain't scared of a drizzy shadow. I just do my own thing. Fans were stunned. It wasn't a full-on diss, but it was close enough to set social media ablaze. Within hours, people were dubbing it the rap civil war. Everyone wanted to know, did Kendrick authorize that track? Was it part of his rollout? Or did Roddy leak it himself to send a message? The answer came in a way nobody predicted. 3 days after the leak, Kendrick Lamar himself liked a tweet. Just one tweet. It said, "The industry's cracking, and it's the cracks that let the real light in. Salute to Roddy." That's it. I'm like, and the world lost its mind. You could practically hear the gears shifting. The narrative was no longer about a petty beef. It was about change, about resistance, about who the culture truly belongs to. But behind the scenes, tensions were reaching a boiling point. Roddy's inner circle was reportedly divided. His publicist wanted him to back down, issue a statement about celebrating all artists, and move on. His label, nervous about brand deals and partnerships. ALLEGEDLY offered to fly him to Miami for a rebrand retreat to clean things. But Roddy wasn't hearing it. According to someone close to him, Roddy said, "Nah, I ain't no puppet. If they blacklist me, so be it. My people gone, feel me regardless." And that's when he made the most radical move yet. He announced a surprise freestyle event in Compton. No tickets. No tickets. No press. Just him, a mic, a speaker, and an open invite to anyone who wanted to spit bars with no beat. No auto-tune and no safety net. Hundreds showed up. Videos flooded the internet, Roddy going bar for bar with unknown MCs, quoting Malcolm X between verses, name-dropping lost legends like Phife Dawg and Guru. It felt like a statement. It felt like revolution. And as the sun set on that impromptu street cipher, a drone captured one final image: Roddy standing on top of a graffiti-covered van, holding a sign that read, "This ain't beef. This is a balance check, not with a diss track, but with a declaration." Roddy's no longer just throwing shade. He's igniting a movement. But what happens when Drake finally claps back? What if the next step isn't subliminal, it's direct? And what if Kendrick's silence, isn't silence at all? The sun had barely risen the morning after Roddy's Compton freestyle event when Ovo finally blinked. But it wasn't Drake who fired the shot. It was Baca, not Nice, one of Ovo's most loyal soldiers. He dropped a 1-minute video on his Instagram story, pacing in a hotel room, talking straight to camera. "You really out here playing revolutionary with a ring light?" he said, his voice sharp and agitated. "You standin' on vans like you Malcolm X, but you wasn't saying none of this before you got left off that album. Don't act like you fightin' for the culture when you're really just mad you ain't on the track list." He ended the video with just 4 words: "Drizzy, don't play politics." And just like that, it was on, the internet was split. Again, but what nobody expected, absolutely. Nobody was what Drake did next. Drake didn't drop a song. He didn't go live. He didn't subtweet. He dropped a short film. No warning, no promo. Just a sudden upload titled Cold Shoulder. 15 minutes of cinematic visuals. Narrated by Drake in spoken word poetry over moody orchestration. It was like nothing he'd ever done before, and it didn't mention Roddy by name once. But the message was clear, lines like, "They cheer for your rebellion until you burn the wrong bridge, and the ones who claim to hate the system are mad they couldn't join it, had fans frozen." In one scene, Drake walks alone through an empty stadium, staring at championship banners. In another, he's seated at a long table, eating dinner alone while invisible voices argue around him. It was artistic, powerful, and painfully passive-aggressive. But the line that really hit hard? "They confuse silence for fear, but real power don't tweet back." Fans interpreted it as a message to Roddy, to Kendrick, to the whole movement Drake was watching. But he wasn't playing their game. Roddy responded 2 hours later. Not with a diss, not with a track, but with a single tweet. "So, we doing poetry now?" The comment section was a war zone. .nd, in a plot twist nobody saw coming. Shah entered the chat. .alt. She posted a now-deleted story of her and Roddy in the studio, just vibing. No caption, no context. But the internet read between the lines. Was she supporting Roddy? Was a collaboration on the way? Was this Kendrick's circle closing ranks? And here's the kicker: Shah is rumored to have had a long-standing but complicated friendship with Drake. Their history is blurred in mystery and subtle shade. The timing of her post wasn't lost on anyone from that moment on. It wasn't just rap fans watching. The entire entertainment world had its eyes on this escalating feud. Blogs, podcasts, even late-night hosts started cracking jokes. One host said Drake's doing spoken word, Roddy's doing public protests, and Kendrick's just somewhere sharpening a pen with fire. But still Kendrick remained silent. That silence became its own form of pressure. And then came the biggest moment yet. At the BET Hip Hop Awards, Roddy was nominated for Best Lyrical Performance and Best Independent Artist. Everyone expected him to skip it. Too much drama. Too many eyes? But Roddy walked that red carpet like a man with nothing to lose. His outfit: an all-black suit with subtle writing all over the fabric. When cameras zoomed in, the words stitched into the material were revealed to be bars from unreleased verses. Messages like "Truth don't trend, it transcends." Labels can't blacklist a legacy. I ain't industry. I'm infantry. I ain't industry. I'm infantry. He didn't smile. Didn't do press. He just walked straight into the building. And when he won Best Lyrical Performance, his acceptance speech shook the room. "This ain't a victory lap for me. This for the ones who got told they too deep. This for the kids who write pain in A notebooks while the world chase likes. This for the ones who still believe in the power of words over waves. And if that make me the villain, so be it." The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some looked uncomfortable. Others didn't clap at all. But the cameras caught one reaction that went instantly viral: Drake's longtime collaborator, the producer known as Vinyls, shaking his head and muttering, "He done lost his mind." That clip hit Twitter like a match in a dry field. And here's where it gets crazy. Backstage, sources say tensions boiled over. A member of Roddy's entourage allegedly got into a heated verbal altercation with someone from OVO's extended camp. Voices were raised, security was called, and someone claimed they heard the phrase, "Tell your boy to drop something," or "Shut up already." And that, folks, was the spark. Because 2 nights later, Kendrick Lamar finally moved, not with a song, not with a tweet, but with a surprise website launch. The site was called Pen Greater Than Men, playlist.com, and it featured nothing but a countdown clock and a quote that read, "If you scared to say names, don't call yourself a writer." The clock. Ticking down to midnight on Friday, social media entered full meltdown mode. Fans knew what that meant. Kendrick was about to respond, and Roddy? He posted a black and white photo of himself sitting in front of a microphone with the caption, "I said what I said." And now they all listening, with the world holding its breath. A mysterious countdown ticking. And every corner of the industry preparing for whatever Kendrick is about to unleash. Is it a diss? A documentary? A full-blown concept album? Nobody knows. But one thing is clear: Roddy Ricch didn't just spark a rap debate. He lit a fire in the culture, and when that clock hits 0, nothing will ever be the same. Midnight came like thunder. Not a second late, not a glitch in sight. Penplaylist.com refreshed automatically, and what it revealed left the internet speechless. No track, no album, no announcement. Instead, it was a single video. Black and white. One camera angle. A desk. A chair. And then Kendrick Lamar walked into frame. No music. No dramatic lighting. Just Kendrick in a plain white tee, sitting down and looking directly into the lens. For 10 seconds, he said nothing. Then he spoke. "I ain't here to entertain," he said calmly. "I'm here to restore." The video lasted exactly 4 minutes and 44 seconds. No hook, no beat. Just spoken word. Bars delivered like sermon. And for the first time in years, Kendrick Lamar addressed the state of the rap game. The machine, the manipulation, and yes, the situation. Without naming names, he said enough to make it clear. Some of y'all got playlists. I got purpose. Some of y'all chart well. I write well. Don't compare a chess player to a dice roller. The tone wasn't angry. It wasn't even emotional. It was surgical, cold, precise. He spoke about being offered millions to collaborate with certain artists, but turning it down because the art had no soul. He talked about the pressure to dumb down his bars. And then just when people thought it was over, he made a direct reference to Roddy Ricch. Young lion showed teeth. Now the jungle waking up. The internet exploded. Roddy reposted the clip with one word: facts. From that moment on, everything shifted within 24 hours. The conversation online turned from who dropped the better album to what even is rap anymore. Think pieces flooded the blogs. Podcasts dissected every syllable of Kendrick's spoken word video. A new wave of artists, many of them previously underground, started trending for posting freestyles and verses. Raw, unfiltered, no auto-tune. No hooks. And then came the challenge. An unsigned rapper from Philly went viral for starting what he called the Pen Over Playlist Challenge. The rules: 1 verse, no beat, no studio magic. Just raw bars in under a minute. Tag 3 artists. Post it. Keep it moving. Roddy was the first big name to join. Then Joey Badass. Then Denzel Curry. Soon, even J. Cole posted a response from his home studio. No lights, no glamour. Just pain and pen. Meanwhile, Drake. He was silent. For the first time in a long time, Drake didn't respond. No story, no cryptic caption, no petty subtweet. Fans noticed. Some defended him, saying he was above it. Others said he was too busy working, but the louder voices were asking the same question. Why's the king so quiet now? And then finally, he moved. But not in the way anyone expected. Drake dropped a surprise single, but it wasn't rap. It was a moody, melodic R&B track titled Pages, where he sings about betrayal, fake friends, and being replaced by noise. The lyrics were emotional, vulnerable, classic Drake. But in this moment, the streets weren't feeling it. Memes flooded the timeline. One post said, "Roddy out here in the trenches," and Drake writing love letters. Another, "Read. Kendrick dropped scripture and Drake dropped silk sheets." The reaction was brutal, but here's where the final twist comes. Because in the middle of all this chaos, an anonymous page leaked what appeared to be a demo from Kendrick's camp of real diss track. And not just aimed at Drake. The alleged leak had shots at the industry gatekeepers, music journalists, streaming execs, and even artists who stay neutral for brand deals. One line hit particularly hard. "If your pen ain't bleeding, your mic should be off." Fans went wild. But when asked, Top Dog Entertainment denied any involvement. They said the leak wasn't official and that Kendrick had nothing to do with it. But the internet wasn't buying it. And neither was Drake, because just 2 days later, Drake unfollowed Kendrick, Roddy, and SZA. And then, finally, he responded directly in a now-deleted Instagram caption. He posted a photo of himself in the studio with the words, "They want bars. I got bars. Be careful what you wish for." The world braced itself, but guess what? No diss. No track. Just silence. Roddy, meanwhile, kept applying pressure. He dropped a new freestyle video titled "Exit the Algorithm," filmed in one take. Walking through South Central, spitting fire without missing a beat. In the video, he rapped, "I ain't tryna trend, I'm tryna transcend. Rap ain't dead, it's just scared of what's within." At this point, even rappers who had been silent started to pick sides. Lupe Fiasco tweeted, "Roddy got a bigger heart than most of your faves." Ruz posted a story saying this shift was needed. Salute to real artists and the most unexpected voice to speak up. Kanye West. In a rare post on his platform, Kanye wrote, "Roddy said what I've been screaming for years. Labels, fear, truth. Salute that endorsement lit the match all over again." Drake. Cornered started losing ground with the culture, even though his album was still charting globally. And that was the irony. Commercially, he was untouched. But culturally, he was being outshined. And what about Kendrick? After that video, he went silent again. No interviews. Just a final update on penplaylist.com. New line that read, "You don't need to reply when you already wrote the last word." And as for Roddy Ricch, he didn't just win fans, he earned respect. And not just from fans and fellow artists, but from a generation of creatives who felt like the soul of hip-hop had been buried. Beneath marketing strategies, social media antics, and calculated collabs, he became something no one expected, a disruptor. And that's where the main body ends. From a cryptic IG story to a cultural uprising. Roddy Ricch didn't just declare Kendrick's album non-negotiable, he backed it up with action, integrity, and art. And now, the entire rap game stands divided not by beef, but by belief. And there you have it, y'all. From a single cryptic story to a full-blown cultural earthquake. Roddy Ricch didn't just spark controversy, he lit a fuse that's still burning. The moment he said Kendrick's album is non-negotiable, he drew a line in the sand that half the industry's afraid to even look at. And what started as a subtle jab at Drake's latest album turned into a full-scale war of values. Not just hits versus lyrics, but integrity versus industry, art versus algorithm. Purpose versus playlist. Roddy became the voice of a frustrated generation of artists who feel like the game's been hijacked by numbers, filters, and formulas. And while Drake still holds the throne commercially, the question now is, does the throne even matter when the people are outside the gates cheering for something real? And we still gotta ask, what's next? Will Drake finally clap back with a real response? Is Kendrick's album about to flip the industry upside down? And most importantly, was this all just the beginning of a bigger movement? We want to hear from you. Do you think Roddy went too far? Is Kendrick about to shake the culture to its core? Or is Drake just sitting back letting it all play out? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Hit that like button if you believe in real rap over playlists. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because trust, this story is far from over. This has been your go-to spot for the drama, the truth, and the culture that makes the game what it is. We'll see you in the next one. Stay loud, stay woke, and as always, keep your ear to the streets.